So let's take a look at a couple things that come in the box, and there's a couple things that come only in enterprise.
Okay.
So there's been some talk about the relationship with Redgate and ReadyRoll and some of that stuff coming in, and that's in enterprise.
Okay.
The SQL search that from Redgate, now that's in the box for Pro as well.
Oh, really?
So the prompt is enterprise, ReadyRoll is enterprise.
Okay.
Those are both kind of more enterprisey stuff,
Yeah.
although we'd all love the
Sure.
SQL prompt.
Absolutely.
But the search, which allows you to use that tool to go in and find a column or a feature kind of just anywhere in the data that it's able to see on your machine. I'm not going to demo that. I think people interested are going to be able to find enough information on it. But I do want to take a look at some code style questions.
Okay.
And if you go into Tools, Options, Editor, you could also do this by going up to the Quick Launch, but we'll go the long way. So you can close that, or you can just scroll down, and you go to the Text Editor, C#,
Thank you.
and then to Code Style. And we're going to mostly be in the general on
Gotcha.
this. Okay. So we've had some variation of this, but it just gets richer. So you can make that a little bigger if you want to, and I think you can make the sample area a little smaller. So halfway down, does that move? No, it doesn't move. Okay. So you can start getting a handle on what we're doing here. So qualify field access with this. If you click on that and you drop down that option, that says none, and then if you go to the, you can see the other ways that we can say a suggestion. If we drop that down, you can say prefer this. So go ahead and click on that, and you can see that it changes immediately to show you what the heck are we talking about doing on this. So if you want it to say for any any field in your current class, if you want to say this dot, this dot, this dot, then that's what this is all about.
Okay.
Qualify field access with this.
Gotcha.
Okay. You probably don't want that, so you can set it back.
Probably not.
And then if you do want it, you could set it from the other drop down to being warning, error, whatever level of response you want that to be.
You can actually get the compiler to throw up on you. If you
Absolutely,
Nice.
absolutely. So remember, we talked earlier about the different ways people feel about those curly brackets around if statements.
That's right.
So you can have, yes, it's got to be here. It's an error if you don't have. I
That's
want to
awesome.
call that the Jeffrey Richter. Because Jeff has said he'd fire somebody for that. But mean guy.
That's,
so okay, so we've got the built-in types,
Yeah.
and this is another thing we could call this the Jeffrey Richter feature. So you can go ahead and see what that means for built-in types. Go ahead and drop that down where it says prefer explicit types. Let's go down one more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right actually, yeah, no, that one, yeah. Say prefer system types. So then you're going to get int32.
Oh,
okay,
interesting.
instead of int.
Yeah.
So
okay.
you can fine tune what you want your team to do. Now, I'm not going to demo this because there's places online I think that you'll be able to track this down. But this is what's on your machine. This is your tools.options.
Right.
Now, if we're working on a project together, we're going to really annoy each other.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
Because we're going to have different. We're going to have just on principle. No. We're going to be working. Okay, so we're working together.
Yeah.
Okay. We need to share these settings.
Yes.
We can't be on different settings.
Right.
So there's something called editor config. It's a kind of a standard that's out there for different editors to be able to share this information.
Nice.
And there's a huge extension to it that Microsoft worked with the community on. Hopefully the community's happy with being worked with, but there's this big extension to that allows you to define these things for the project. If there's an editor to config and anything is defined there, it overrides the person's individual settings.
So
in this will not be used, the editor config option would be used to override these values.
So just to make sure that I understand, you're telling me that I could adjust these settings and it would stick to the project. So if I check the project into like GitHub and someone else checks it out, these settings would carry over to wherever they are, and when they open the project, they would be enforced.
The only thing I want to correct on that is because you're not going to set them here in this dialog and do
Right.
that. You're going to go into an editor config right now and edit that by hand.
Okay.
I haven't gone in and
Gotcha.
played with that experience. I don't think there's much tooling around it just yet, but
Nice.
you can absolutely do that, and it's a pretty straightforward, just whatever we're doing now, XML, JSON, probably JSON little thing. I haven't actually looked at it.
That's still that whole idea is pretty neat because that's like a lot of sort of open source contributions are hinged upon that. Like you can't have white space in the line.
Yeah.
You better, you know, so that having those rules enforced like at compile time is way nicer than having them enforced at pull request time.
Exactly. So this is actually also interesting because it says a lot about how hard the team's willing to work, because they came and they talked to me about VAR in particular. At an MVP summit or something a while back, and it was just, you know, a 10 or 15-minute conversation. They said, "What are your rules? We want to do this." And I said, "You won't be able to. They're too complicated." They said, "No, explain it to us." And they decided it really wasn't that complicated. That really, if they could do the built, you know, is it a built-in type? So is it a literal? Or is it immediately evident in these kind of scenarios? So they narrowed it down to 3. I was surprised by that, but it's very cool that they were able to do that. And then I also said, but it won't matter, because I can't use that because I work on a bunch of different projects for a bunch of different people. And so they came back and they solved both of those problems. They've got it cut down to a reasonable set of decisions that you can make, and then you can also share those. So if you just go down, you'll see that there's braces, where you want to put your braces, and then scroll a little further, and you're going to see expression,
expression preferences, variable preferences.
Yes, I'm looking for the expression body member section, which I think is a little bit above this. It's there with the expressions. That's code block preference. Oh, it's code block preferences, yeah. So right in there, if you go into methods, and I think that right there, say for methods that you would prefer expression bodies, okay?
Nice.
And then once we do this, I'm going to show you something where that's going to show up on your machine.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds
So now go ahead and put over there, make it a whatever you want, a suggestion or a warning.
We'll put it as a warning.
A warning, okay. So go ahead and say okay here.
You got it.
Now compile your project and look at errors, at the error dialog.
Let's look Control B. It is.
Okay. So you may have to open that. I don't see your error dialog open right now.
No,
so
it's not.
You can view. It's under view, not Windows.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Error list. Okay. Oh, you should have had a warning. Because if you scroll down on the programs, I believe you have a method there, get person. Get data is a 2-line method. I'm not sure it would do that. But there on get person, it should have been, I'm not quite sure why that wasn't a warning. It did not do that the way I expected. But I can still show you how to get some help with that. If you position your cursor on line 35.
Yes.
And you know what I'm going to say now. Control period.
And see, it's doing it again. It's not.
Why are you not doing that?
I don't know. It's not working. Let's see if did it revert my.
Yeah, that was in options. It's not in customize. Options customize is nothing.
Yes.
Okay, so let's just see if did we hit. So code style.
Oh yeah. So I guess first things first.
It's general code style. Let's make sure that it's still.
For methods, prefer extension body.
Prefer expression body.
That's
okay.
Switch it to error.
Yeah, but actually put it on suggestion.
Suggestion. You got it.
Because that's what I had.
Okay.
Okay, and then.
Let's try to rebuild.
Yeah, let's do it.
Rebuild all succeeded. Weird.
Okay, now position on it, hit control period again. Okay, that's just not working.
Yeah, it's broken.
So, so we set suggestion on your machine. We set that for a warning, actually, and it didn't come up.
Yep.
Okay, so let's do the same thing on my machine, and we'll figure out later why this is not working. But this is a new feature, so it might have a little bit of glitches around the edges. So if you run into a problem with that, then look for a blog post trying to explain what the problem is. So earlier we had a problem because you have to have 4.62 for a different feature for the null reference analysis. I don't know why this one's not working. But let me just go there on my machine so I can go with code style. I did control Q to come up to the window there, and I'll do code style, C#. It's kind of messy right here because I have a weird font size. We'll come back to that naming you can see it a little bit better. But I have prefer expression body set for everything, and I have a suggestion for methods. And so now I'll simply say OK, and you can see that the message shows up in the error list. So I can see that, I can go straight to that. Now, to get I could play around with the silly light bulb with my with my little mouse, which I never have the patience to do. But instead, I'm going to position on the line, control period, use expression body members, and now I have an expression body member expression right there. So it's just right there, and then of course error list is now clean and happy. So that's what it should have worked on your machine. It didn't quite work out that way, but I'm not quite sure what the problem was on that.
Me neither, but you know, like you said before, some of this may be hinged on having the right version of the framework installed.
Right.
You know.
And I'm on Windows 10, you're on Windows 8. There's a couple of things that are a little bit different here, but hopefully there'll be something out in the blogosphere about that when it's kind of not working for people.
That sounds great.
Because it's a great feature.
It is a great feature, and I was just going to say, you know, on a personal note, I'm a little jealous that it works for you and not for me.
All right. Well, hopefully we can get that fixed so it works for you as well.
That sounds great.
Okay.
That sounds fantastic.
Great.